Welcome to Built for This, the podcast where property meets purpose. I'm Talia Hugh.
And I'm Megan Rovers. Together we're here to unpack the real stories behind the people shaping the property industry. From bold first steps to career-defining moments and the life lessons they've built along the way.
If you're passionate about property, curious about the human side of success, or just looking to build something meaningful, you're in the right place.
So let's unpack it. Welcome to Built for This.
Today on Built for This, we're joined by someone who has become a go-to name in the Geelong property real estate market, Jayden McHenry from Armstrong Real Estate. Jayden has been buying, building and selling property since his early 20s, and after years in the land sales industry, he's built one of the region's most consistent and high-performing careers, selling 100-plus homes year after year. He's earned multiple Sales Agent of the Year awards, national REA recognition, and a reputation built on discipline, momentum and genuine client connection. Today, we're unpacking the real story behind that consistency, the early days, the property journey, the work ethic, and how he's built a career that continues to rise. So let's unpack it.
Welcome, Jayden, Dos, to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining Tals and I today.
Well, thank you. Yeah, good to be here.
For those who need some context, this might be an episode full of banter. We promise we'll try and extract Jayden's story as he's a very successful sales agent in the Geelong region, but we do all work together. So there might be some side jokes, which we'll try and let you in on as many as we can. But that little brief intro there, his nickname in the office is Dos. So we'll refer to you as Dos for the rest of the podcast, I reckon.
That's why I was actually wondering what you were going to give me. If you called me Jayden, I was going to be like, that feels weird.
Feels formal.
And I've only been getting DOS since I started working at Armstrong. Before that was never a DOS ever.
What other nicknames did you get?
That started it?
I think it's Harriet and Tricker.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
Yeah.
What other nicknames do you get?
I'm J Mac at footy.
Honey, sweetheart from Flick.
No, we roll with other ones, not those ones. No.
Okay, this is like a PG rated podcast, just so we know.
She's a big time listener too, so
love that.
Hey Flick.
Hey Flick.
Jay family and close friends. Dossie at work, J Mac at footy. That's about it.
Well, there's already a J Mac at our work, so you had no choice.
J Mac made that clear when I did start.
Let's actually talk about where it all started. You joined Armstrong about 5 years ago?
5 years ago, yep.
Yep. What was your real estate career looking like before that? How did you get into real estate?
How I got into it, long story short, sold a Foxtel unit to my old director, Peter Maxwell at Maxwell Collins. So I was working for Foxtel. Before that, I wanted to do physio, but I realised when I enrolled at La Trobe University in Bundoora, it was actually 2 hours away. But I didn't realise until the first day I got there. I thought I'd spread my wings a bit and I'd go to Melbourne for uni, do health science for 3 years, then do another couple of years of physio and be a physiotherapist. But the first day I had an 8 o'clock class and I got there. I had to leave home at 5 a.m. I didn't realise how far away it was. It was like 2.5 hours.
Had you never left
about to say,
Ocean Grove and been to Melbourne before?
Didn't think to Google it. So I just thought it'd be in the city, but it was actually on the other side of the ring road. So it was so silly. That lasted about 3 months, and I realised that all my mates, when we finished school, they all went out and got trades. So they were making money, whereas I was, working a job for $20 an hour, 10 hours a week to cover the petrol costs to get to uni pretty much. And I was hating it. And I realised that I wasn't going to be probably smart enough to be a physio, and I couldn't do the 5-year commute or
move out of home.
Yeah, not at that age. No, it was first dig, first of many. I am living out at home now.
just this year.
12 years later. But no, it wasn't. I couldn't see the long longevity of it. So I saw a mate at school, a couple of years older than me, put on Facebook looking for someone to join my sales team at Foxtel. If you're interested, let me know. So I reached out to him. Got the job, which was part-time, 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, selling Foxtel units door to door. Now, at the time, I thought, this isn't too bad because I'm getting commission. If I sell one unit, I got $150.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Alternatively, I was working at Adventure Park before that for $15 an hour, standing up the top of the water slide.
Of course you were at Adventure Park. Why can I say that?
Lifeguard standing at the top of the water slide. Every 15 seconds I had to let someone down the slide for 4 hours straight. Never been so bored in my life. And I thought, this is great. If I can sell, a couple of units a day, that's $300, and that's going to be like, per hourly rate for one of my mates and $10 an hour. This is great. So I gave that a go for 6 months and ended up selling it to Peter in Geelong West. So knocked on his door. His wife answered, Julie. Julie said, Peter's not home yet. He's working. You have to come back tomorrow. I was like, okay, no worries. It was a nice house in Geelong West. So I came back the next day and she answered again and she said, Peter's not home again. You'll have to come back later. This is a Saturday morning and I thought, what is this guy doing? Like, they have a nice house. They don't have Foxtel. This guy's always at work. All right, so I'll come back later. So I waited out the front for about 10 minutes, like just on the phone, and I see him rock up in his white Range Rover Sport into his driveway. And I don't know, like, how I was so confident back then, but I literally just walked straight up to him when he got out of his car. And
I've been waiting for you.
I said, hi, my name's Jayden. Is your name Peter? And he goes, yeah. And I said, I've been talking to Julie about Foxtel. He said, well, you better come inside then. There and then I knew I'd sold them the Foxtel unit. And he was taking off his orange tie, in his suit. We went inside. I sat down with Julie at the table and I sold Julie the Foxtel unit. Peter was in the background, didn't even care. And then I turned to Peter at the end and I said, what do you do out of interest? And he said, I have a real estate company, Maxwell Collins. And he just done auctions that morning. And I said to him there and there, I said, do you mind if I get some work experience with you? And he said, yeah, sure. So did a 3 days work experience, really loved that, went away, got my agent's rep, and then asked for a job back with those guys, and they gave me a job. And then I did residential sales for 6 months as Nick Lord's PA, learnt a lot off Nick. And then Ashbury Land Development came up in Armstrong Creek and they said to me, we'd love for you to come out and do this. I was 9, just turned 20 at the time, and they said this will be a great opportunity for you to learn the ropes, get a base, but you're just going to have to work weekends, Saturday and Sundays. You can have Thursday, Fridays off. It's 11 till 5 work hours. It'll be good for you. So I did that for 5 years, and that was then after doing that for a long time, it was pretty repetitive, very isolating in the land sales office. I just had to sit in that land sales office. Couldn't leave it. Could only sell the land that they gave me, whether it was overpriced or not, whether the market was hot or not. I was really dictated by the developer, which was good to start. But then after 5 years, I was like, okay, I think I need more than this. So then took the leap of faith and asked for a job with Megan and got the land sales job at Armstrong. Did that for a year, and then
I always forget that you
took the leap of faith again to sell houses. And yeah, it was a good decision.
And when you say the leap of faith, for you, these types of decisions are big decisions. Like there is full family involvement, roundtable discussions, pros and cons lists, lots of deliberation. And this is probably about nearly every decision, whether to get a pool or not, sauna or not.
Big decisions.
Yeah, big decisions. Big decisions. What is your decision-making strategies?
I'm glad you asked.
Pardon?
My
goodness,
invite email said to bring
book.
props, so I thought we moved house 6 months ago, and I actually found this notebook, and I thought I've put it in my bookshelf, and it actually means a lot to me because I think I am a good decision maker when it comes to those things, and I think because I really iron out the pros and cons for every decision, and I actually going through my notebook from back in the day when I actually have the note here of taking the position of the land manager role at Armstrong Real Estate. And I've got on I don't know if the camera wants to see that.
left is
you won't be able to
pros.
read it. So I've got the pros on the left-hand side of the sheet and the cons on the right-hand side. Now, looking at this, I put 10 pros to leave, and I've got 4 cons for that position. Now, if I was just to name a few, the pros for the land sales manager work was no weekends work, get the weekends back, Sundays more importantly, because I was just missing out on so much Sunday stuff.
Yeah, especially family stuff and events.
Yeah. It was really killing me. normal hours instead of working 11 to 5. I was really unmotivated. Like I was rolling out of bed at 10 and going to work like really unmotivated. And it wasn't like I could do more to be more successful because I was really hand tied to what the developers had for me. Back in a team environment was a massive one for me. Different work, as in like selling different things, negotiating different vendors, not just the same thing all the time. Development and improvement, higher income potential. I've got here $500 per sale instead of $250. Younger team, flexible in future, i.e. sell houses.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Wow, you've really manifested this for yourself.
Early wake up each day, what I wanted. And then the concept of leaving was leaving Maxwell Collins, which I've been there for 5 years, so I felt pretty awful about that. New environment's daunting. My base wage, I've got the comparison of what I was earning to what I was going to be getting, which was $7,000 less as a base wage, which that was a con. And then paid fortnightly instead of weekly. That was I was really like struggling to which I got here get $28 taken off, $728 versus $800. That's how much detail I go into. So
I love looking into just like you and I think so differently, which is sometimes a massive positive. Sometimes it's the reason why we squabble half the time. But that like my pros and cons list, if anything, is in my head.
Yeah.
And I'll like analyze it like you've done there. But I think you need to physically have it on like written down. Even you track all your sales still, even though we have a system, 3 systems that track your sales, you still need to track your own sales.
Yeah.
Just for kind of like that. I don't know. Do you just like seeing it and?
Yeah, I feel like there's something with putting pen to paper. Like I feel like you can come back to it, you can revisit it. You've got it forever.
You can bring it to for a podcast.
Yeah, I feel like I even do it now. Like I've got a week tracker that I have at home, which instead of having a week planner, which I would normally do, which is plan out when I want to exercise and when I'm going to work and I decided to do it as a tracker. So like I've got to do it to then put it on the piece of paper. So it's like more of a commitment to myself. So at the end of the week, I haven't done any exercise. Well, it's not going to be on the tracker. So it's good to measure week to week. So it's probably more a measurement tool and something to look back on and see like,
rather than pre-planning, you're looking, because
then I'll disappoint myself. So if I like last week I was a bit sick. So if I hadn't have done it, I would have felt really disappointed at the end of the week. But doing it as I go, I've got more commitment to actually do it. And then I get to put it on the tracker and feel really good about myself. So I don't know if pen to paper works for me.
You mentioned before the question of like back then you thought it was a bold question just to be like, oh, I'm here to sell you your Foxtel essentially. But I would say one of your key attributes as a sales agent is you have, and I don't want to call it shame, but you have like no shame. Yeah. I can't think of another word, but to ask the question. Like I feel like if you're curious about something or you want to know a detail about something, you're okay to ask. And I think you've quoted once in a sales meeting that every no is closer to a yes. So that every time if you call someone saying, do you want a market update? No is you're so okay with hearing no because you know that one may be the last one until you do get a yes. Do you think that's something that's like, I guess, bred into you? Is it something that your family kind of has? Or like, I guess, where's that from? Because a lot of people are afraid of rejection and I think it really holds people back in real estate. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I definitely get it from Dad. I think Dad's taught me that, growing up, he would say that they can only say no. Like if Mum's meal we'll go out for dinner, Mum's meal was not hot enough. Like wouldn't be scared of going up and asking if they can redo it or reheat it up. Whereas for someone that would make them feel awkward, whereas they can only say no. Like what's the worst that's going to happen? If they say no, you can talk about it.
If you don't ask, you don't get.
Don't ask, don't get. So like there's no real risk in asking the question. Because you're going to either get what you want or you're going to get feedback on why they wouldn't if they say no.
You've made it sound very simple, but for a lot of people, I guess it is that fear of like, well, no, or as you said, like really not wanting to go up and ask that question. How do you apply that in the work that you do in real estate? You're listing 100 houses a year, you would probably get equal amount of no's per year for, you know, people choosing to go with another agent. Does it ever, like, what do no's ever hurt you? Do they ever get to you, or is it?
Yeah, sometimes they sting. I've probably learnt to not let it bother me, not be emotional about it, which probably helps me way more because, I'm not emotional about if it is a no. It's more understanding why is it a no. Like, are you not ready yet? Or because you're not comfortable with me?
So you're not really taking the no, you're not hearing it.
So yeah, it's like,
I actually resonate with that. You're just not hearing it. You're just like, hang on a minute, I'll just ask again in the
There's like two options, just yes or no. And if it's a no, then there's another couple of questions which could be yes and no, and then it keep going, and then it circles back to the yes that originally you wanted. So if I ask you something or for something with you, Megan, it's normally a couple of times, 2 or 3, 4 times, and then I get what I want.
You do have a very good way of turning a no into yes. Yeah,
it could be called manipulation.
No,
depends on how you look at it.
Do it in a really good way.
No, look, because
you help people understand and think deeper into, okay, why is it a no, and then you just help them get to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it comes from a really kind place, which it does. Like, it's very sincere. Like, I'm very curious. I think me as an agent, I think it's probably my best strength is like reading a room and actually connecting on a really interpersonal level with someone and helping them. Like, I always just think help someone. And if they need help with me exploring why they're saying no, I'm not offended if they say no, but let's unpack that. And then if it's not the right thing for them or for me to help them, that's okay. But at least I've looked into it, done what I need to, and help make that plan, sort of thing.
And they've been able to consider all options as well. Because I will, definitely vouch for you when we do appointments together. I feel like you're right. That is one of your biggest strengths for sure. Yeah.
And if I hadn't have asked over the years the question to either get the business or to get an offer or whatever it may be for a market update, I'd be way back, like, from where I am now. Like, times I've forced someone to let me give them a price update on their house when they didn't need it. And, now 3 years later, we've got a great relationship, and they're moving to Queensland and they need someone to help them sell the house, and they just think of me because I've been in touch with them all those years and gave them some value back in the day when I didn't need to. But if I had just, okay, don't worry about it, don't talk to you ever again, like, so many lost opportunities from that.
We've got quite a young team in our office, and there's obviously lots of people just starting in their real estate career. If you were to go back and tell yourself 5 years ago, what's one thing that you would do differently, or that you did that you thought was really pivotal? Because what we would see, what everyone in the office sees you as an attraction agent. So people call you because they want to sell with you. You're no longer necessarily having to really pitch for business. You essentially are going through the process. So that hasn't been an overnight thing for you. It's been a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication. What do you think were some of the pivotal things that you did early on that I guess got you to where you are today?
So many appraisals, I would say, like, so many appraisals. I remember one month I did 81 appraisals, new appraisals, and I used to track them on a piece of paper. Probably have it in here somewhere, maybe, I don't know. Like, I used to track appraisals. When I first started, I was working, like, beside you and Josh, and I didn't have any hot listings, so I just did so many appraisals. I did 81 in 1 month. That was my PB. And I would... Remember, we'd go together to some, and I'd have like 6 back-to-back booked in, like 15-minute time slots in Ashbury. Like,
I know, and the last person was like, poor thing, waiting 2 hours because we got stuck chatting at the first person. We were running like a GP clinic, basically.
It was literally...
We were always late.
Yeah, always late, which is probably my, biggest flaw. But anyways,
we'll unpack that in a minute. Don't worry, you're not going to get away with that.
But that, like, I did so many, and I didn't focus on listings or selling them. I just focused on appraisals because I knew that if I give you an appraisal and I stay in touch with you for 5 years or 3 years, I reckon 80% chance of listing that house when you need to sell it, or maybe even 90%. And if I did 400 appraisals a year into my database, and I just keep nurturing all of them, then it's going to keep compounding. So that's how I looked at it, and I was doing. And probably people think, maybe I don't work as hard now. Like, I'm not doing that anymore. But I did that so much. Like, I was doing that from 8 o'clock in the morning to, like, no joke, 7:30 at night. And I did that on repeat for, I reckon, 3 years. and 6 days a week. I don't come into the office as much anymore, but I was doing that 6 days a week back in the day, which really, because then those people did just call me and say, hey, Jayden, we're moving or we've separated or whatever, and we need to sell and let's catch up. And they're the best listings because you go in, you know them, you don't have to fight for your life to get it and drop your fee and really build up the trust on the spot. You have the trust. They literally say, yeah, Jayden, like, let's do whatever you need to do to get this sold. And perfect. They're just trusting you to help. So anyone starting now, I would do that again. I wouldn't change that.
Probably a perfect segue into work-life balance, or as you like to call it, life-work balance, because life comes first and work secondary. I've heard this multiple times, as you can tell. It's fine. I don't have a gripe with it. I guess let's look at it like the 5 years. You've as you've alluded to, you've done 3 years of really tough work. Then there was almost like a moment or a period of time where you probably stopped and reflected on, hang on, where am I? Where am I going? What do I want? Can I keep working like this? We've spoken about the emotional toll of real estate, and maybe something that a lot of people don't recognise as agents, that and maybe you can unpack this a little bit, but you just said people separating, people moving, you're taking on, or you're hearing everyone else's problems to a certain degree. Was there kind of a moment that you made a conscious decision that, okay, I can now flip to having a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more life-work balance? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, I probably couldn't see it for a little while, until there probably wasn't one moment, but I do remember a moment where my mate said to me, and at this time I was like selling like lots, still as much as I sell now, but I was like all over Instagram, like pumping out Instagram videos, doing as much as I can. Work is life. That sort of was me, and that was my identity. Like, people called me a bit of a joke, but King of the Creek. Like, people
he just
knew
wants to drop
me.
that in there.
Yeah.
No one
I've never actually heard that before.
Shut.
No, keep going.
Yeah, so that was like my identity outside of, like, in the office, it was 100% my identity. Like, and I felt the high of it. Coming to work, I felt so proud, and I was smashing it, and everyone was getting around me, and vice versa. I felt on top of the world. Outside of work, people noticed that too, so it felt great. And then a couple of years ago, was nearing 30 years old. Hadn't found my person yet. Was just working all the time, and then I probably just thought, going back to my mate. So he said to me one day, he said, "Oh, look, your videos you're doing, like, to be honest, you're coming across as a bit of a wanker." Like, he gave me some feedback, and I was like, "Shit, really? Is that what you think?" He said, "Yeah, I've sort of stopped following you because I think you're worried about work too much."
Wow.
And how much you're selling and stuff. And that was probably the pivotal moment where I thought, I don't want to be perceived as that person. That is the last person I want to be perceived as. Like, I would like to think I'm a humble person. I can have a joke about, maybe have a joke otherwise, but really, like, I'm a humble person. I like working hard. So that really hit me for 6, and then pretty well. That's why I don't do Instagram videos anymore, because I just don't really feel the need to put how good I'm going out in the world, because that's almost a bit private, and I don't want to be the one. I would rather other people say how good I'm going instead of myself say how good I'm going. So that was a big moment, and then also I was single at the time. I didn't know what outside of work looked like for the next 5 years. How's that going to look? If I'm doing what I'm doing now, am I going to find someone? Am I going to just be ridden to the grounds? And I want the next chapter of life. So there probably was just an adjustment period of making sure I had the right support at work, which I put on Will probably soon after that, which he's been a game changer for me. I made habits. I actually probably have a list of it in my book as well. I made a list of all the things I changed to better my life outside of work. So the first thing, which sounds silly, was taking the TV off my bedroom wall at the time, so I didn't stay up late watching TV and then therefore waking up late in the next morning and not exercising. So that was the first thing. And then I started going to like Finish our run club. on a Wednesday morning to try and get more connected with people. And I had like, I reckon 20 or 30 things that I did that I compounded to then lead me to meeting Flick at the coffee shop. If I hadn't have gone finisher, I wouldn't have then, Ben Wallace wouldn't have texted me one day, said, hey mate, do you want to go for a run the next Wednesday morning when the finisher wasn't on? And that day we went for a run around Barwon Heads, and that's how I met Flick, because I went into the coffee shop afterwards. That's how I met Flick. So all these good things compounded from the little decisions after having that thought of like where to from here. Like, and I still think I've contributed equally as good in work, but then I have this amazing life now outside of it. Like playing footy last year, that was a big decision where we were weighing up the pros and cons, and we weren't seeing eye on it, Megan. But
every no is close to a yes, apparently. And then if you just don't say yes, then just if you don't say no as well.
If you get a no, just ignore it sometimes. But like that for me, that wasn't just playing footy. I've met like 40 new people in my community where I live and love them. Like a whole new network of people outside of work. I get to play golf with, I just catch up with, see them down the street. Like if I hadn't have played footy, that wouldn't have happened. And so I can't remember what the question is now, but
no, I feel like that's really true. And even from an outside looking in, like you do genuinely seem so much more happier when you come into work. You've never really been frazzled, in my opinion. Do you agree?
Never.
Like he's
never frazzled. Never.
Well, maybe, yeah.
Where are you meant to be? Oh, I was meant to be somewhere 5 minutes ago. I'd be sweating. Sweating. And he's just like, I'll just go in a second. Okay.
I've been better lately.
I haven't seen you much. To know.
But no, you can actually really see that. And I think, like you said, your results, they've probably improved, would you say?
Yeah, I'd say, they've improved.
You're working not less, but just not as...
No, I'm working less.
You are, okay.
I would say you are now working smarter rather than harder. Like you've now designed your work week better and your life outside of work better to not be feeling like you're meant to be in two places at once. Because I know for a very long time you did have double ups in your diaries and all those types of things. And I think there was also, and I hope you don't mind me saying, not sure if this is a confidential conversation between us.
I'm not sure what you can say.
So we'll see. We'll cut it if not. But I think your family also kind of said like you're not really seeing us, or like you are a very tight family. We'll just maybe look into that a little bit, that if you weren't present, like that your family hangs out all the time, it would be really noticeable if you were prioritising work a lot over that. And now you've got nieces and nephews, obviously you want to be there as well.
Yeah, I found that I had no energy for that. So like, another memory is like Wednesday night dinners. Mum wanted to do Wednesday night dinners, so we all catch up, which I really at the time hated it, because for me to, I'd be rushing around after appraisals and getting there late, and then I couldn't be present because my mind was just running overtime with all the stuff from work and the adrenaline, and I was burnt out for sure. Like I got to a point where I was burnt out. I wasn't eating well. I was working too much. But I had to, things were going, the snowball was moving forward, and I had to keep moving with that at the time. But it was, paying a price, because I didn't want to be present at family dinners, and I didn't have enough energy to ask, my dad, how are you going? Like I just wanted to get home and go to sleep. So I knew that had to change, because that's a number one really for me. And it's way better now, because like I'm so present. I'm so present with outside of work, and I'm present inside of work. But the difference is with work is I'm doing the dollar productive tasks as well as, instead of doing everything. So time has the benefit of doing it for a long time is I've fine-tuned processes and systems, and how we do things on a day-to-day basis, roles in my team and everything like that, to fine-tune it so that I can be like that instead of just running all over the shop.
And I think on that as well, like we asked our guest last week, how important do you feel that partners and support systems are within real estate? Because even though you're not working as much, you're still probably taking calls, I'm sure, in your personal time. Like how do you find that with your Flick and support network around you?
Yes, she's so supportive in understanding that it's got to happen, taking call or whatever, but she's so supportive with the other stuff that you wouldn't see, like, making my lunches, like meal prep on a Sunday and making my lunches for the week. That in itself saves me so much time for me just to grab my lunch, which is mincemeat and rice and guacamole, and I've had it for 6 months straight. It's the best thing ever. Same thing every day. Put in the microwave, it's heated in 2 minutes, eat it in 3 minutes, and then I go back to work, right? So instead of going down to the
You really
shops,
fine-tuned your day.
Yeah.
It's like, I eat the same thing because I know how long it goes in the microwave. I know how long it takes me to consume, and then I can get back to it.
she loves it too, right? But so like, instead of like going, oh, what am I going to have for lunch today? Go down to the shops, waste 20 minutes. I don't feel like sushi. Like waste 20 minutes there, come back, waste another 20 minutes. Like there's an hour gone before you know it. Like, and that hour I can get so much more stuff done. And you're not feeling good. Like you eat something that you feel terrible for, so your productivity's not as high, right? So that's been a big one. And even dinners, like I don't feel like my general health's been way better than what it used to. Like I'd get sick at the drop of a hat when I was that busy back in the day, and now it takes a lot more. I reckon I've been sick once in the last 12 months.
As in like last week?
Yeah, last week. Bad timing. So the little things like that, the routine of life, having a support person's been massive.
Love that.
Yeah, we were saying that, having, I guess, roles and those types of things. Like I use the example of Locke on a Saturday coming to get a dress from here for Tals. It's having a partner that doesn't kind of look at it as if it's like a hierarchy, or it's like, hey, we're a team. What can we do to make sure that this all works for everyone? Because people will want you after hours, after typical business hours, because it's just the nature of the game. Yeah. And
Flick loves that and supports that back because she does get to see me more because of the flexibility of it. I know you've spoken about the role of real estate. Like real estate's very flexible, and because I can be home and work from home in the afternoon, but then I take that call at 7:30 at night. She's okay with that because she gets to see me more instead of just being in an office from 8:30 to 5:30. Yeah, and don't get much say with what you're doing.
Now your family loves property. Have they actually always been this into property? Like I feel like in the last 5 years, the McHenrys have done about 20 houses between the whole family. Has that always been? Pardon?
All in the same street.
All in the same street. We just moved them from Ocean Grove to here, all within a 100-metre radius of each other.
Max.
Yeah. Has that always been the way? Because I know that you had like quite a big family property that you all grew up on. Was there always property transactions happening in the background as you were growing up, or was it?
Not really.
It's just more recently.
More recently, I think Dad's gotten onto it more recently when I actually started looking into it for myself. But before that, Dad worked. At one stage, he had his accounting practice in Geelong, and then he had a real estate business in Melbourne, Map Real Estate, which he had with one business partner. And then he had his bookmaking business as well at the races, like, taking bets and whatever.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so at one stage he had...
What is a bookmaking business?
Yeah.
I've never heard of
like
this.
the bookies on the rail that you go up and say, I want $50 on the horse.
And he was making like the books?
No. It's called bookmaking.
Ah.
But it's not bookmaking at all. It's just, it's like the
Is it
in-person
like
sports
Yeah, right,
bet.
okay.
So there's people at the races.
Yeah, right.
With the bags.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He was one of them.
the
He had
money
his own
bags,
business doing that. Hey?
Here I am,
With
just
the money
nodding
bags.
With the
things.
money
Just
bags,
for
yeah. Which I worked for him like a couple of times over a couple of years. So one stage he was so busy, he had all three businesses. He'd do like 2 days a week at McHenry Partners, 2 days a week up in Melbourne, and then weekend was doing the races. So he had a bit of real estate in him from the Map Real Estate business, but he'd also help clients, with the accounting side. Oh, you need investment property, Megan. We need negative gear this. Yeah, let's buy an off-the-plan apartment through Map Real Estate or through the connection there and link you up. And it was like a one-stop shop. So he did that for a long time. So, and he did seminars and really preached getting investment properties and building up a portfolio. And so I guess from like when I was 13, 14 through to 20, I was around that.
Yeah. And I know that maybe your investment strategy has changed a little bit because you were at one stage basically collecting rental properties and then you consolidated and maybe changed from quantity to quality of properties. Do you mind just maybe touching on your personal investing in property and how you feel that is either complementary or how that actually goes, being a real estate agent, having, I guess, using that knowledge to create personal wealth as well?
Yeah, for me, like I started because I was selling the land at Ashbury back in the day, and I was selling land to people from Melbourne and Sydney that were getting blocks and just sitting on them for a couple of years before they titled, and then settling on them and building a house. There's one guy in Sydney, he's still a mentor of mine, and he had 30 properties under his own name, and he was working in IT. He said he was working on a wage of 110 grand at the time, or whatever, but he just kept buying blocks and building on them, and they kept accumulating. So that sort of was my strategy at the start, buying my first block of land in Oakden Estate in Ocean Grove, and building a house on that was my number one, which at the time I was like, God, 215,000 for this block. You know, it's only gone up. The estate blocks have only gone up 50 grand in the last 5 years. If it goes up 10 grand a year, you know, over the next 5 years, that sort of covers the interest. But then by the time I finished that one and then bought my second one, which was a block of land in Ballarat, that house had already gone up 300 grand. And then I bought a block in Ballarat off the plan, and then it titled like a year later. By the time it finished building, it was another year after that. So by the time that was done, and that had gone up 200 grand. So then I did the next block in Ocean Grove, and I just kept doing that. So it sort of was like I was accumulating them, but the benefit of buying blocks of land off the plan with a year or two title time frame was good, because you're in the market, you got 2 or 3 in the market, and the market's going up, but you're not paying for it yet until it settles. And then when it settles, you start building on it. That's what I learned, and that worked really well. So yeah, I did my Ocean Grove one, Ballarat, another one in Ocean Grove, another one in Ocean Grove, and then bought a block in Point Lonsdale. And I did buy a block in Perth at one stage as well.
I think you forgot Perth.
But
I didn't know that.
canned that one. I probably should have kept that one really, but just before it settled, you could opt out of the contract, so I opted out of that because I didn't know how long it was going to take to build the house over there. It was going to take a year or two, which I didn't want it to be a lemon, and so I opted out of that one. So, and then I've had to then keep moving forward. I had to sell one. I sold the Ballarat one to then do the next one to get the Point Lonsdale block. And then I had to sell my Ocean Grove house, which admittedly was really spec'd up, so I didn't want to rent it out. So I sold that one, cashed in on that one to then free myself up a bit, and then that's led me to buying, my house now.
Because most of these were to live in, weren't they? Not as just sit on investment, or to get to the next stage.
You lived in every one but Ballarat.
But Ballarat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3. So the 3 in Ocean Grove I've lived in. The one in Ballarat was always an investment.
Yep.
But I built them not knowing what I was going to do.
Yeah, okay.
So I was like, I'll probably, and that's when I was building. I was like, I want to do something nice enough that I live in it, but then also not too nice I'm over capitalizing, and then also not basic enough where it's not going to get a good resale value. So being in the game, knowing that sort of protected me probably, because one I sold to an investor, like the first one, for example, like it cost me like $490 house and lands back in the day, which for me it's 21-year-old, that was a lot. And one of the things in my notebook here that I'm really proud of, which is where it all started. Like this is my vision board, all my notes from my vision board back in the day, which is speaking to younger people out there. Like this was where it got me. Like I had a goal of having.
Just pause for a second. My Alexa's gonna.
Do we just keep going? Go.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
Okay. My savings goal is probably the thing like that I come back to. So I had a goal of 20 grand, 5 grand increments, 20, 25, 30, etc. And I had a goal of saving 60 grand in the 12 months. So that's what I needed to build on this block, my first block. So I had the goal date of what I wanted to save that money by, and then the actual date I saved it. Okay, wow. So I could see that I saved 30 grand on the 21st of June 2016. That was my goal, and I actually did it on the 3rd of June 2016. So at the time, I was just like relentless on saving up as much money as possible. I had a rule: 60% of my wage from Ashbury went straight into my savings. Every block I sold, the commission that went straight into savings. So I couldn't touch that. And it was just bad luck if I didn't have enough money to spend. I just didn't spend it. I was such a tight
I
ass.
actually remember one day you were like, you're going to have to I think you need to buy someone like literally a block of chocolate or box of chocolates or something. And you're like, I've got $8 in my account. It'll pay tomorrow.
Could it? Yeah.
But it was like in your card account, but you had other money, but you were just kind of like, I'm not touching it. I can't touch it. I'm
Not
like, well, you got to.
This is a bit embarrassing, but on a Friday, I used to go down to Ocean Grove Main Street and get a egg and bacon roll and coffee and read the newspaper. And I had this rule that if I wanted to buy something, but I thought I didn't really need it, I would transfer that money I would have spent into the savings account. So if I go to get the egg and bacon roll, I think, I don't actually feel like it today. Let's get the coffee. Then I'd transfer the $10 into my savings account.
That's so clever.
Okay. It got to a point where I was like, I don't need the newspaper. I'll transfer $1 over to the savings account. Well, that's how. A bit
I'll
embarrassing,
just sit in the
isn't it?
cafe and read it, save myself the $1.
Yeah.
Transfer it.
So, that's the point I got, which every dollar counted, honestly. And then I could save up the 60 grand or the 55 grand I needed to build on that block. And then, that $490,000 house and land, I sold for $990 5 years later, which, that just opened up so many doors. But if I hadn't done this back in the day, there's no chance I was going to be able to step.
Do you still do it?
Yeah. That's why I didn't bring you anything. Ben bought your box of favourites and I haven't brought you anything. No. I'm fine now. I feel like I'm generous and it's just smart. Invest in the right things.
And I think a lot of people do forget that, you look at you and you're like, oh yeah, he's into property and things like that. But the compromises that you did make, you kind of just forget that that's actually what a lot of people need to do.
Yeah. And people don't,
No.
people gamble.
They expect to have it.
Yeah, they expect to have it, but then what are they happy to compromise about? People drink, gamble, online shop, waste their money away where I've always been quite savvy with that.
Son of an accountant. I kind of bred
That's
into
in
you
the
to
blood.
love the numbers.
That's in the
To
blood.
do. Yeah. Did you ever think about doing accounting at uni instead of
Never.
physio? Never.
No, numbers don't speak to me.
Yeah. It's actually a really nice point. And Morgan, our episode from last week, touched on this about there seems to be maybe, and this is a generalisation, there's the want for a first home buyer to have their forever home first, to buy it in the location, to have the specs and the upgrades. But you're probably a testament to you've kind of built that up step by step, deliberate move, sacrifice, compromise to actually get two things in life, that your home now, because it's no longer a house, so you've purchased your home of where you want to be. That was, I guess a change in mindset of buying something just because of the capital growth or the rental return to actually buy somewhere you wanted to live and be, and then to design your work life to be able to not just to be about meeting targets and deadlines, but to actually have that work-life balance. So the dedication and hard work's paid off.
It has. And I always thought it would. And that's why I also had in my vision board here, I had to save that money or build that house. But then also I remember having that white Range Rover Sport on my vision board that Peter had. And then I realised that was a waste of money. So then I had a new goal of having my house and an investment property before I can buy a nice car. And even having that rule on my vision board at the time committed me to staying on track. And that's why I drove my little Mazda 6 for a long time, up until I needed to have a nicer car to sell houses. But even that little rule there helped me, whereas I could have gone, I can afford it, I want a nicer car now, and that would have set me back. Not that everything's about money, but it's just now that we're in
what you value, really.
Yeah, for sure. And I love my car now, but I love it now, didn't need it 7 years ago when I was 24 or whatever. And it's all sort of moving forward in a timely way where now, yes, I live where I want to live and we love it. And I can do things to the house. We're doing sort of slight renovations and sprucing up the garden, bought a sauna, little things like that is a little luxury looking back. And that's why I love to write things down and have this here, because it's looking back at that going, thank God. And it's worked to plan. It's quite nice and rewarding, and then that makes you feel better.
Yeah. It's interesting the point that you said about the Instagram videos, because you are very humble and, you are super successful. I think I haven't checked the stats lately, but you do the most volume, or very much a leading agent in the Geelong region. There's lots of people that get up to speak at ARIC and whatnot who actually, I guess, write technically less than you. You write over $1 million in GCI every single year, but you've made this really conscious effort to, as you said, be humble. And even your car now, you've got a ute. I think for signboards, I'm not really sure practically, what else you pop in the ute, but I think
Golf clubs.
Okay. And it would be amiss. We'll wrap this up. We'll just mention this because you did actually voice memo beforehand saying, make sure you mention on the podcast.
Well, what's a big win that you've had recently?
2 hole-in-ones.
2 hole-in-ones. There you go. In 6 months.
I can't believe we're finally at the end of this episode and only just starting to touch.
He's literally been sitting here
on Jayden's golf.
No, it's not a success. That we're still working on that. That's for sure. That's still work in progress.
Yeah, we played the other day, and I think potentially it was a pretty tight game. Yeah,
it wasn't. 2 years ago it was. No, absolutely.
I actually bet you once.
I'm not covering that.
Once. We're going to finish this episode with a couple of rapid fire questions. Tals, fire away.
What is one thing every day that you can't go without doing, if anything?
Doing?
Yeah, or anything about your day that you do daily, no matter what.
Well, I don't know. I have 2 coffees a day, but I mean, apart from that, there's nothing.
Nothing like rituals that you.
No, not really. No, I mean, I really enjoy just listening to music in my downtime, driving to work, and just.
What's your music choice? Actually, that's my rapid fire question. What's your go-to at the moment?
No, I can't.
Are you country?
No, I can't.
Oh yeah.
Have you heard of him?
Yes.
Yeah, I was a Luke Combs fan, but now I'm sort of steering away, just relaxing. I don't know. There's nothing. I'm not too. Routine. One thing, nah.
Favorite holiday destination?
Noosa.
Not even anywhere you've just been in Europe?
Oh, Italy was awesome, but favourite, I think Noosa.
Main Street Noosa, Country Road. It's just you, isn't it?
Very
even in Italy, I said, Flick, this is all great, but we could do this in Noosa. So
Australia's
it's just,
good.
you're going to get a good week of relaxation and great food, and it's relatively affordable to just fly to Sunshine Coast.
When's your next holiday booked there?
Well, he's got no leave log, so this is interesting.
Do I get leave, do I? You know that?
Yeah.
Next holiday, we're going to Bali for a mate's wedding next June.
Oh, nice.
And we'll probably get one in between.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Jayden McHenry, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much.